Hey everyone, Lotus Prince here. Well, it's time for a Q&A. You have asked questions and I'm going to provide answers. Why don't we just get straight to it? Gaze21X asks, without thinking too long and hard about it, what's the worst game you've ever played? Or at least you had so little fun with that you'd never play it again and go out of your way to tell other people not to play it. I mean, it's difficult to pin down the worst. I mean, at least as far as stuff that's on my channel, Ride to Hell Retribution was pretty broken. It had the potential to be a better game, and the shooting mechanics were actually pretty decent, but the game was just super repetitive and janky as all hell. Also, Clock Tower 2 was pretty rough. The plot made little sense to the point where the behind-the-scenes stuff pretty much said as much, and the end game was just extremely frustrating with having to lead enemies to an area so you could take them out and go back and do it all again. That was pretty frustrating. Manny Stovall asks, what is your favorite PS2 Mortal Kombat game? Ooh, maybe Deception? Armageddon was cool because you had every single character, and Shaolin Monks was cool because you're kind of reliving Mortal Kombat 1 and 2. I don't know about 3, it might have just been 1 and 2 a little bit differently, but Deception, I really enjoyed Shujinko's story through the realms. That was just really entertaining. And also, same person asking, have you played these games? Yume Nikki? No. LSD Dream Emulator? No. Corpse Party and Silent Hill Downpour? Yes, I've actually let's played those on my channel. And speaking of which, actually, because it's very easy to see whatever the newest upload is, but not necessarily how far back things go into the archives. If you click my YouTube channel and go to videos, there's a little magnifying glass thing where you could search for whatever. Type in a game, see if I've played it. Now, to be fair, you're asking if I've played these games in general and not just on my channel, but those two do happen to be on my channel. I've played all of the main Corpse Party games. I have not done Sachiko's Hysteric Birthday, and I've done every Silent Hill game, I want to say, except for Book of Memories. And that includes the arcade rail shooter. And I guess it excludes the visual novel. Jin SS, what are your thoughts on the Silent Hill 2 remake being proposed by Konami? In my personal opinion, I can't trust or believe Konami will make a decent/innovative remake. Well, they're not. That's Bloober Team. For the past bunch of Silent Hill games, everything after 4, I believe Western developers have made those games, and it has Konami's name on them, but different devs actually put the games together as far as I'm aware, and again, this time it's Bloober Team. So, I don't know. Quality may vary. The combat and perspective is clearly going to be different, but we kind of needed that. The story is going to be the same. There's not going to be plot twists. There might be execution twists. I might not know exactly how things are going to go down, but who knows? We'll see. We already have a baseline, so we'll see where it goes. I'm not quite sure what to expect, other than the visuals look pretty cool. Mad Morpheus Gaming. Any thoughts on the current One Piece arc/saga? If you're talking about the manga, I don't know. If you're talking about the anime, where we're currently in the Wano arc, I quite enjoy it. I don't want to go into spoilers, but it is very fun. One Piece keeps getting bigger and bigger with each saga, and I think there's only one saga left. Silent Pain. What are at least one movie, book, video game that was so bad/repetitive/boring that you just had to put it down in the middle and you never got back to them? I don't know if there's anything I've really never gotten back to. The closest thing I could think of, and it wasn't bad, was Hitman 2. And I don't mean new Hitman 2, I mean old Hitman 2, Silent Assassin. Because that game is just hard. It's just hard. For a book, I guess in school, I was assigned Age of Innocence by Edith Wharton, and that was rough. That was the first book in school, that I was assigned, that I ever abandoned ship on. But then I failed the first quiz, so I was like, okay, I better read the damn thing. Movie. I don't know. Usually when I watch movies, I like them because like I'm pretty sure that I know what I'm getting into. I will say like Pirates of the Caribbean 3 and Hellboy 2 were real turnoffs for me. Like I finished them, but like I'm not memeing here. I prefer Pirates 4 to 3. 5, I don't know. 5 was okay. It's not great. Insane Buffoon. Street Fighter 6's World's Tour mode is looking pretty much like a Yakuza game made by Capcom. Are you going to check it out when it releases? No. Street Fighter 6 looks freaking amazing, but it's like Street Fighter is just not my thing. I enjoy watching people play it, but I'm not going to play it myself. The only fighting games I've really gotten into are like Mortal Kombat and Soul Calibur, and even then that was for story. And I know you're talking about Street Fighter 6's World Tour mode that's kind of like story mode, but still, nah. The game looks amazing, but it's just not for me. Who has a worse sense of direction, Rona, Zoro, or you? I know how to read street signs. That's one step above Zoro. Like, I'm pretty damn bad, but I am capable of reading a map. The Magnus. I was wondering if you've played any Souls-like games, games that are similar to Dark Souls. Yeah, I actually have a few of them on my channel. I did do Hellpoint, that I have not uploaded. I didn't record it or anything. I played that entirely on my own. I put up clips of Thymesia. I did that. I put streams up of Mortal Shell. That's another Souls-like. I'm trying to think if there are things that sort of fudge the genre. Like I know Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom are like borderline Souls-ish because you respawn, but like I haven't really played those. I want to say I've played more than that. Oh, I've played Morbid. I have not uploaded clips of that either, but I did do that one. So yes, I have played some Souls-likes, and I tend to like them. Usually they're not as, full done as actual Dark Souls, but they're still cool in their own ways. I particularly enjoy Mortal Shell. It even has a roguelite DLC, which is ridiculous. Pisces Princess 327. Here's two for you. Have you ever played the Persona series? I highly recommend them if you like JRPGs, and they would also be great for content differences videos. No. I have a few Persona games, but I haven't played them. And you are right about content differences videos from base version, like Persona 5 to Persona 5 Royal, for example. It's the same game expanded, but it also assumes you've played the previous one. It's kind of like Yakuza Kiwami. Remember this from Yakuza 1? Like stuff like that. But those games are so huge, I'd be terrified of doing a content differences video of those. Speaking of which, do you plan on making more of those content differences videos? I would like to, but I don't have any hard plans to do so. The next obvious step would probably be Resident Evil 3, but even then, no immediate plans for now. Raven Snake. Are you going to upload your videos in 1080p anytime soon, or is it not possible due to technical limitations like old hardware or network speed? I actually have pretty good network speed, but yeah, it's partly old hardware and partly 1080 videos are just way bigger than 720. Also, this doesn't count for newer games, but for retro stuff, those games are like 360 and 480. I'm just upscaling them anyway. Elemental Hero Joe, if you had to survive in the world of Silent Hill or Resident Evil, which would you choose and why? Probably Silent Hill. Honestly, it's probably scarier, but Resident Evil, it just wants you dead. Silent Hill, depending on the game, may just want you dead, except for every damn Western game that wants to be Silent Hill 2, and Silent Hill 2 didn't really want you dead. Silent Hill 1, 3, and 4 totally did, though, but I'd still take Silent Hill, because Resident Evil, you either have monsters that are absolutely going to one-shot you, or 10 million zombies. And even if the zombies don't kill you, you're going to be one of them sooner or later. Which sanity effect in Eternal Darkness did you feel was the most creative? Probably the deleting memory card one. I also kind of like the blue screen of death. I like the scripted sanity effect, where the game just stops. And it's like, oh, you made it through basically the demo. Stay tuned for Eternal Darkness. Sanity's Sanity's Requiem was the main game. It was like Eternal Darkness, some other subtitle. Stay tuned for that game to really finish it. Like that got me the first time. And I also like the one where you enter a room and there's 100 enemies right there in like a really cheap gotcha location, and they start wailing on you, and it says, "Oh, your controller's been disconnected," and you're like, "What?" That was pretty great too. What game in your collection have you replayed the most? That's kind of tough. I don't know if this counts, because you kind of advance a little bit each time, but Isaac, because you're doing new runs every time, like Isaac and Gungeon. But in the more traditional sense, something short, maybe Streets of Rage 2, although I did play Typing of the Dead 1 a whole lot, and I like replaying Deus Ex as well, and to a degree System Shock 2, but something, like, I can't just play something like, I'm picturing something huge, like Elden Ring. I can't just be like, I feel like playing that again. Like, it's so massive. I would have to New Game Plus it or something. Rhett Buckley, have you played Amnesia Rebirth? If so, what did you think? No, but it's on my list. It's a future Patreon request, I believe. How do you think the Amnesia games compare with other frictional games like the Penumbra series and Soma? No comment on Soma, but the Penumbra series allowed a degree of combat, which I felt made it a bit scarier. On one hand, you could stop being scary really quickly when you feel just like a total badass killing every enemy, but at the same time, combat sucked in Penumbra Overture, so you would have to think, maybe I should probably run away. Whereas in Amnesia, see monster, go somewhere else. Boom. You don't even think. You're just like, oh, this is the part where I hide. So it is scary because you can't fight it, but at the same time, the monster almost becomes more of an environmental hazard than a monster at that point. So there's give and take. When you let's play a visual novel, are there more interesting interaction features that make the game more enjoyable to finish? Oh, sure. I mean, with some games, it's really all about the story, but even something like Chaos Child, the interaction was very basic in that, but it could influence which branching paths you take. I particularly enjoyed 428, where you kind of play some sort of god character or someone who determines fate, where you close off paths and open others and see how you can influence characters' destinies. And then there's stuff that's a little more mixed genre, like Ace Attorney or Danganronpa, which involves a lot more gameplay during trials, so they all have their own little sense of flair. Have there been any visual novels you have not enjoyed playing as much? I haven't played that many visual novels. Maybe that Deathmark game. It was alright, and the aesthetic was brilliant, but it all kind of played out the same way, and the game over sequences weren't nearly as interesting as I thought they would be for a game that dark. In one of them, it was literally, something falls on your head and you die. Seriously? Would JoJo's Bizarre Adventure work as a Souls-like game? It'd be interesting. I mean, we have Fist of the North Star where you have different powers. You have One Piece where you have different... Oh, no, Souls-like. I'm thinking Dynasty Warriors game. Oh my god. Souls-like... Even then, I'll still associate it with the Warriors games, because you could play as different guys with different powers, but at least as far as JoJo's main story is concerned, you don't fight 100 minions. It's just one guy, one guy, one guy. So it would be like boss fight after boss fight. It would be more like Fury than a Souls game, I think. I mean, if you want to prove me wrong, people can make interesting games. I'm sure someone could do it. But if you're sticking close to the source material, it'd feel a little weird for me. T-Rex. What's the story behind the name Lotus Prince? How'd you pick it? Lotus was from Magic the Gathering, Black Lotus, because I came up with the name when I was in high school, and I was still collecting Magic back then, and Prince just kind of sounded cool. Is there a game where the ending really disappointed you, and if so, what and why? I don't know if I would say the ending itself full-on disappointed me, but for example, The Last of Us 2's ending I actually really enjoyed, but it's just after all this story, and now there's one more chapter, and I'm like, we're still going, and that chapter actually was really good, but I'm like, I thought it was over. And then Xenosaga Episode 3 had the exact opposite problem. Again, the ending was wrapped up pretty neatly, but there were supposed to be more Xenosaga games, and it just didn't happen. So they would either have to end on a cliffhanger or just end on a non-ending, or do what they did, which is get the ending. But they were like, come on, go, 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 go. So like the story just kind of feels rushed, because it is. Is your sense of direction equally as legendary off-screen? I don't know if it's quite as bad. It's not good. But the real world isn't usually designed like a video game where it's the same brown hallways and everything looks the same. So to be fair, part of it, well, I'll say most of it is me, but sometimes it might be level design. Like Overblood, I complained about it during the Let's Play, but like every hallway is the damn same. This is only half my fault that time. Lou. After all those years of playing games and video editing, is there anything in the process which gives you fatigue? Not so much doing it, but knowing that I've recorded an entire Let's Play and I have like 50 parts to edit. It's just like, it's not even the doing it, it's just knowing that I have to do it. It's like, ugh. Or the feeling when I'm doing it, like I could be doing something else. I could be playing a game, but no, I'm sitting here editing. Are there any games that are now currently now inaccessible, for whatever reason, out of the country, delisted, whatever, that you wish you could try out? I mean, I could always import or even emulate, with very few exceptions. I would say just stuff that like might be Japanese only, which it's not inaccessible, but like I can't read Japanese, so I'd be losing a little something. Like games that don't have fan translations. Like, I don't know, FromSoft has another mech series called Another Centuries Episode. I actually have a couple of the games, but I don't know how much I would get out of them. Same goes with Spriggan Lunarverse. Remember Spriggan? No? Well, that's okay. It's not translated anyway. The game isn't. I think the US got, what, like 1 volume out of like 10? To hell with it. Yancy, what games are you interested in doing an LP on in the future? I would like to continue series that I've already started. Like Clock Tower, or Resident Evil, or, I know I have something else going on in there. But stuff like that. I also wouldn't mind trying out Blasphemous. I'm not sure how LP friendly that game is, but I've been wanting to just play it at the very least. Anthony Cooper, after playing the Souls games, Bloodborne, Sekiro, and Elden Ring, what do you think is next from Software games? Well, the cheating answer is Armored Core, because I know that for a fact. But, I don't know. Like, the next part of this question kind of answers the question. What do you want to see from them next? Something new? Or maybe a remake of Kingsfield games? Their experimental stage was weird. They had a bunch of jank on PS1 and PS2, although they were interesting in their own ways. But I would not mind seeing a remake of Kingsfield. I think it would be a lot more well-received now that we know what it was trying to do, now that Souls exist, and now that we have the internet, because I forget if I've said this on my channel or not, but I have Kingsfield US #1, so Japan Kingsfield 2, but US Kingsfield 1. Is it nearby? Yeah, it is actually. There we go. I got Kingsfield US. This is what I streamed. I did have the real thing, actually. But these games are damn arcane, and they knew it, because if you can believe it, this thing actually comes with a phone card. You could call the hint line, which you would have needed to do back then. And then your mom would get furious because you're bleeding money out of your phone line. So Kingsfield coming back would actually be pretty cool, I think. Shona Clan. I hope I'm saying that right. What do you think about Talking Ben? I don't. I had to Google it after reading this question. It's apparently some mobile game where you interact with a talking dog. It was made in 2011. Not my thing. And finally, Seibutsu. If you were to change anything about your content creation process in any way, what would you change? I would like the ability to stream during more normal hours, like the afternoon or something, maybe for longer. It would be nice to just have more options for that. Maybe I should keep reading. This could be in regard to technical improvements, practical things you're tied to doing because you always have, something you've always done but are just stuck doing as part of your signature style. Would you have picked a different catchphrase or something? Yeah, maybe a different catchphrase, honestly. because, like, I really always enjoyed the sound of Let's Go Crazy because it was from the Marvel vs. Capcom 1 arcade machine. When you would put in a coin, like a quarter or whatever, a credit, you would hear Mega Man going, "Let's go crazy!" And, like, something about it, I butchered it. But if you look it up, you could hear it. It sounds kind of cool, and it's just burned into my head forever.
Let's go crazy!
But I don't even try to say it that way, because it would probably sound terrible if I did. Which it just did, when I just did. So, yeah, I don't know, maybe that. Secondly, is there a game you've wanted to cover, but couldn't? Or started to, but had to abandon? I'm not entirely sure about wanted to, but couldn't. The closest I've come is I think somebody asked me at one point if I would play Neverhood, and the answer is just an immediate no, because that game does not like Windows 10, and I would assume Windows 11, even if I were to emulate it. I don't know if that would happen. If I were to try a content differences video, like Dino Crisis 1, the PC version, that's pretty anti-modern systems as well. I will say there was one game that I started that had to abandon ship on. It was during a Patreon-only stream, so very, very few people were witness to this. But I had played a game, it was basically a walking simulator called Town of Light. It was Town of Light or The Town of Light, but walking simulator where you're part reminiscing, partly, unfortunately, remembering events that had happened to you in a certain asylum. You're walking through it now, it's been long abandoned, but you're having flashes of things that happened, and one of them was extremely unpleasant and inappropriate, and I was not aware of that going in, and I cut the feed of that game right there and switched over to something else. If you ever look it up on my channel, you could still see the cut video, but it's the Town of Light and Darkest Dungeon. The Town of Light, I cut the feed a little bit early, and I'm like, oh look, I'm playing Darkest Dungeon now. How did that happen? Yeah, this is why when a game says it's rated M for like such and such a reason, you Google it to be damn sure. I was actually wondering if I would want to stream The Silver Case at some point, and I don't know if it's as hardcore as the Town of Light is by today's standards, but it still gets pretty unpleasant. And yeah, I better not. So that would be probably a pretty good example of that. I will say one thing, there was one game I was afraid I wouldn't be able to play, but I pulled it off. That'll be a future Let's Play, as a matter of fact. I'll get to that when I get to it. I'm currently uploading Elden Ring, and I will soon be announcing the next game that I'm going to upload. But when I get back to a game of my own choosing, Elden Ring was my choosing, the next game will be Patreon requested. When I get back to my own choosing, it's going to be either that game or one different one. We'll see whichever I finish editing first, but I'm going to open that one by describing, like, I had a hell of a time getting this thing to run, but I did. So that was a game I was afraid I would not be able to get through, but I managed it, so that feels pretty good at the very least. But in any case, those are the questions that you have sent to me. I hope my answers have been adequate. Thank you very much for the questions and for all of your support, and these things are always kind of fun to do. I'd like to see if we could do another one, I don't know, toward the end of the summer, early fall. These things are entertaining, so we could just see what we have. But until then, thank you all very much once again, and until next time, everyone.